I dare you to make it to the end of this video. There's a saying that says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world, but today I'm wise, so I'm going to start by changing myself. Now, I implore you to watch this video to the end and answer all these questions before you set your goals for 2021. And I can guarantee you that if you can do this, that your 2021 will not be wasted. And you'll see results based on your metrics, and you'll be able to see this year in what areas were you able to succeed in, what areas were you able to grow in, what areas did you grow in, what areas did you fail, that you flopped, what areas are in progress, you started this year but it's carrying on to next year, and then an evaluation of yourself. And then you'll be able to know, if you want to know where you're going, first and foremost, you have to know where you are. So we go straight one. What did you do well this year? Like, what was something that a couple of things that you're proud of this year that you've done well? 2, what was your biggest achievements this year? And beyond them, what was your biggest achievements? Why were they your biggest achievements? And how did you go about, what was your mindset? How did you go about, achieving those? What environments that you were in, etc. 3, what have you learnt this year? Both personally, both in your relationships, both at work, both just in general. What have you learnt this year? As in, what didn't you know in the beginning of this year, and that you know now? What have you learnt? How are you leaving behind in 2020? Are you leaving a lot of good behind? Are you leaving a lot of bad behind? What mark did you leave in 2020? And why was that the mark you left? Are you satisfied with the mark you left, or would you have wanted to have left more of a mark, both in terms of the people you came in contact, but in what you've done? Where were you at the beginning of last year? Like, if you compare where you are now compared to where you were last year, what's the difference? And where am I now at the end of 2020? So, it's a compare and contrast, because now you know where you are now at the end of 2020. So at the end of 2021, you should know you will see where you are. What opportunities did you waste? Put on my Instagram a couple of days ago, and I got a couple of replies. I was like, in this life, not everybody's going to do what they love. Not everyone's going to do what they love, but everyone has a window of opportunity to actually do what they love. Now, the question of whether they take that window is up to them. And if they miss that window, then it gets to a point where the need to survive outweighs the opportunity for you to now go and do what you love or chase what you love. So in that sense, that opportunity is gone, and that opportunity is wasted. And that, for some of you, you're lucky enough to get the opportunity a second time, a third time, a fourth time. Don't waste it if that's you. But understand, the older you get, the less time you have. So what opportunities are you wasting now, or have you wasted? Beyond the opportunities you wasted, what opportunities did you actually take? And how did that feed into your 2020? What did you do wrong? So we've talked about like some of your biggest achievements. Like, what did you do wrong in this year? What is your biggest flops? What's the people, who have you done wrong? What have you done wrong this year? By just in general, what's the things you've done wrong, and why did you do those things? And did you do it more than once? Was it out of character? All those kind of things. What did you do that was wrong? What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What is the fears? Because once you identify your fears and you understand what your fears are, then you can now do stuff to either avoid them or overcome them, because some of our fears are there. But understand, fear is different for different people. Whether you fear in terms of spiders, or you fear failure or success, which is typically what's, in terms of failure and success, people either have a fear of failure, or some people have a fear of success, and it feeds into imposter syndrome and other things of that they're just afraid of their own ability. So what are the fears that you have? Now, beyond your fears, what inspires you? Like, what makes you want to jump out? Like, what inspires you to act? What inspires you on a daily basis? What gives you good energy? What just gives you a lot of energy? What inspires you? Whether it's to be creative, what inspires you to do your work, what inspires you to go ahead and do stuff. Now, this goes into our next one. What is your passion? What is the things that you're passionate about? What are the things that you're doing that almost feels like there's no end? Like, even 5 hours could have gone, but because of how invested you are, there's no energy, it burns. You're just happy with what you're doing. Now, beyond your passions, what do you want to experience in this life? What experiences do you want to have? What experiences do you want to share? Some of you want to go traveling, some of you want to be in a certain place in life. Some people want to have gone on a boat before, some of you want to go on a plane. What experiences do you want to have? Now, and why do you want to have those experiences? Now, when you know what experiences you want to have, then you can kind of now see how to get there. Now also beyond that, what experiences have you had this year? What experiences that I've noticed that you've had this year? Obviously we've all had the lockdown coronavirus experience, and how was that experience for you? How did lockdown shape your 2020, and how did you react to be in that situation? So you kind of know where you are now, and you've answered where were you at the beginning of the year. So then the question is, how did you grow? And in terms of how did you grow this year, who helped you to grow? What were the situations that allowed you to grow? What aspects of your life did you grow in? The next one is, how have you used your time? How did you use your time this year? What did the majority of your time go to? Who took up most of your time? What efforts went into most of your time? Where did you dedicate most of your time? And you want to know where your time was going to. Now, beyond where your time went to, what are your weaknesses? Like, what are just, we all have weaknesses. The truth of the matter is that none of us are perfect. You are not perfect, my friend, but you are perfect the way you are, in the sense that we're human. We are imperfectly perfect. And if you can accept that, then cool. But we all have weaknesses. So what are yours? And how have your weaknesses either helped you or hindered you this year? And have you been able to overcome some of those weaknesses? Now, obviously, you know what you're weak at, but what are your strengths? Now, what are your strengths? Like, what are you good at? What do other people feel you're good at? Because sometimes you're good at something and you don't really see it, but other people see it. What are your strengths? What are things that you can do that's also low-key effortless for you, that you can just be able to do and get through? What makes you happy? That's the next one. What makes you happy? Like, what does happiness look like to you? What actually makes you happy? It's important for you to know, because if you don't know what's making you happy or what can make you happy, then the people around you can't know. You understand what I'm trying to say? So if you don't know, then the other people can't know, and then it also means that you may not be doing for yourself the things that should make you happy. And again, beyond what makes you happy, have you been doing stuff this year to make yourself happy? What are your values? What do you actually value? Now, the things you may value, I'm talking about what are your personal values, like your core values. Like, what you may value in another person is not necessarily your values. You may value honesty in somebody else, but that's not a core value of your own. You're not being honest in every situation, so you're valuing something in somebody else that you don't value for yourself. So what are your core values, and how does that direction go into you? In a previous video, we talked about principles. What are your principles? It ties into your values, and that almost works as just like, a GPS for your directions, a filter for your decisions. What were the unnecessary distractions? So obviously previously we asked you what took up most of your time, but then again now we're asking what was your unnecessary distractions. Now, some distractions are good because some of you work too much, and so sometimes those distractions can be a good thing. For some of you, you're too focused at something that for you, you may be too focused at work. So for you to get out of work, you need a distraction. That's not an unnecessary distraction. Distractions aren't necessarily bad enough itself, but what are the unnecessary distractions? And some of these you may have explored in what took up most of your time. Was it useful time that it took up? Next question you want to ask yourself is, who are you? Like, who are you? Like, a lot of people will be like, I know who I am. No. Who are you? Like, what do you like? What don't you like? When you start to actually spend time with yourself and start to explore yourself and understand yourself a bit more, you realize that you didn't fully understand yourself fully enough. Like, why do I act the way I act? Why does this trigger me the way it triggers me? Why do I project this? Why do I go act like this? Why do I do this? So, I understand that when the word why comes into the place, it's not, I've done coaching and all this kind of things, and ways to approach and speak to people and all that kind of stuff, and I understand the word why can hit you. So it's almost like if I was to switch it down, it would be like, why do you do what you do? It's like, what are the reasons that you do what you do? And that's more of a palatable way. But I normally suggest you applying, and you should apply this to all the questions, the 5 whys. Now, whenever you ask yourself a question of what you've done, etc., you should, or what you believe, you should always hit yourself with the 5 whys of why is this the way I act this way? And it's like, oh, because he didn't make me happy. But why? The thing is, it's almost like when you hit somebody with like, how are you 6 times? It's like, how are you? Fine. How are you? I'm doing okay. How are you? Like, my guy, what are you asking me? Like, how are you? It's like, yeah, no, I'm doing okay. Everything's going alright. It's almost like that. So who are you? So beyond who are you, Then the next question of just again, similar thing, but who are you when no one's looking? Because some of us here, we got two personas. We are one person in, we are maybe go outside with a confident person when we go inside with a crying person. Who are we when we're not when no one's looking? Are we the snaky one? Are we the one that stab a person in the back? Who are we? Then now the next question is, who do you want to be? You know who you are. You know who you are when no one's looking. But who do you want to be? Because sometimes you're putting a lot of mental energy into being somebody you're not when people are looking, and maybe that's who you might want to be, and maybe in this life you have to fake it till you make it sometimes. But who do you want to be? How does that person look? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do with your life? Like, what do you want to do, and are you doing it? Next one, normally I guess people. Next one is, what is your purpose? Now, it is a question that is hard for people. I normally say this: when you find your purpose, then you can start living on purpose. And so spend the time. Most people say, oh, it's too hard to find a purpose. It can be hard, but sometimes you need to start at what you believe is your purpose, and along the way you will realize if it's not. Most times it's something that draws you, something that gives you fulfillment, something that, once you're doing doesn't feel like too much effort, but it feels purposeful. It feels that I need to be doing this. And along the way, sometimes it's just, you find it along the way, does it? But at the same time, you need to be diligent and trying to look for it. Now, you can start somewhere in terms of giving yourself some sense of direction, because purpose gives you direction and gives you something to push on to. So spend the time with yourself to do this. Now, beyond purpose, in terms of what you are here to fulfill in this world, what do you want? What do you actually want in life? What do you want in a partner? What do you want in a friend? What do you want from your relationships? What do you want in your business partners? What do you want from work? What do you want? Like, just in general, like, write it down. What do you want? And then I'll hit you with, why do you want it? A lot of people, you say, I know what I want, but most of you don't really know what you want. You think you know what you want until you're in a situation. Everyone thinks they know what they want until they get what they say they want and realize it's not what they want. Now, the reason why I hit you with the why is not that it gets annoying to hit you with why, but if you've convinced yourself, so you don't have to prove why this is what you want to me. The point of me asking you why is not for you to prove it to me. But the thing is, if you've already convinced yourself and already explained it to yourself and fully formulated your thoughts for yourself, then you should be able to convince me. But if you haven't even convinced yourself, you won't even be able to convince me. Sometimes it's not even about the words, it's about the way you speak about what you want. It's about the passion behind it, beyond any hurt that may be used to say this is what you want. And in terms of what you want, what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? Most of us, we want what we want, but at the same time, we're not willing to give up anything for what we want. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? Is it time? Is it energy? Is it compromise? What is it that you're willing to sacrifice? Because if you think that you're going to get what you want without sacrificing something, then the universe will show you one kind pepper, Do you love yourself? And if yeah, of course I love myself. And the question is, have you treated yourself like you love yourself? Now, people say, what does it mean to love yourself? It's a combination of things. It's about treating yourself the way you treat yourself as if you're your own best friend. Some of you're the hardest person you are on is yourself. You don't forgive yourself. You cuss yourself out. The way you look at yourself in the mirror, it's not the way you look at the people around you. And then I know, loving yourself is a whole big wrapper of self-esteem, self-love, all this kind of thing. But also in terms of the way you treat yourself, the way I love this poem, this spoken word poem by, I've forgotten his name. It was on Def Jam, but my man started off the poem with like, I'm dating myself. And I'm not gonna lie, since I saw that poem, I've been taking myself out on my own dates. So listen, I'm whining and dining and doing the whole thing, candlelight for myself, because sometimes you treat yourself the way you want to treat other people, and the way you treat yourself is the way other people at most times will treat you. So if you're not loving yourself, if you don't know how to love yourself, and again, like the previous question you asked, if you don't know how to make yourself happy, you can't expect somebody to come and know how to love you. You can't expect somebody to come and know how to make you happy if you don't know how to do that for yourself. Now, obviously, those aren't the questions that it's just limited to. It's about what have you done, what have you been able to achieve this year in all facets of your life. Now, the next aspect of it is in terms of the people, your relationships, the people around you, who in areas that you've been able to grow, who was able to help you grow. In the areas that you flopped, who contributed to making you flop? The people that, who gave us good vibes this year, who was bad vibes this year, who is people that you've learned from this year, who are people that you want to make as a friend, who are the people that you need to cut off, who are the people that you've done wrong to, go and seek forgiveness, who are the people that may deserve your forgiveness, who are the people, evaluate the relationships you are. There's obviously a saying that you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and ultimately your energy, your space, and your environment is most times the thing you need to protect more. So again, not beyond just people, but people plus environment. What environments have you found yourself at this year, and how many of those were productive? What environments are you most productive in, and what environments have been more detrimental to you? And even those environments, how have you found yourself in those environments? Some of us, we are self-harming in the sense of that we know that this situation ain't gonna do us no good, but somehow we keep finding ourselves in those situations. Then ask yourself, why do you keep finding yourself in those situations? And if it's a character trait, if it's a certain situations you find yourself in, all those things. Obviously, there's random things. This life is random. But if you are indirectly taking yourself into these situations, then it is what it is. So evaluate the people that have made the biggest impact in your life, the ones you've made the biggest impact, and the ones that, in terms of a negative impact and a positive impact. Obviously, double down the positive, double down those you need to learn, and also think about, in terms of the areas you need to grow, who can help you grow. Then the last section of this is about yourself. Now, if I've said in the previous video, in terms of you having a balanced life, there's areas of your life that you need to, is physically, and you can even break down this whole review into this: physically / your health, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, sexually, and in your relationships. Now that's ultimately what this all goes into. Have you taken care of yourself? Have you taken care of your health? Have you been eating right? Have you been exercising? Have you been, managing that? If you need to be taking iron tablets, have you been taking iron tablets? Are you lazy in taking your medicine? All that kind of stuff. In terms of mental, have you been doing stuff have you been checking yourself mentally? Have you seen a therapist? Are you doing things for good energy? Are you cutting out bad influences? Have you stopped being a bad, have you diligently tried to manage your mental health? Spiritually, have you, in terms of, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, every human being, in my opinion, has some level of spirituality that comes and talks into their belief of life, giving them some good energy, good life, good direction, fulfills their purpose and gives them some hope in this life. Are you nurturing that energy in your life that gives you some positivity in this life? Because if not, you're looking at this life, it's a bit bleak. Emotionally, in terms of emotionally, have you been balancing out? Do you have good relationships that back that up? In terms of financially, where have you been? It's been a stressful time this year, especially financially, but some of you have done good. But in terms of some of you, it's not your fault, but it is what it is. But how are you doing in that aspect of your life? In your relationships, in friendships, have you been checking up on your friends? Have your friends been checking up on you? How have you been settling your arguments? How have you, within your family and all those kind of things? That, is there relationships that you need to grow? Is there ones you need to repair? All that kind of stuff. You need to ask yourself, who helped me in this year? Who have I helped in this year? And who are people that I should have been helping and I've forgotten to? Because we all have responsibility on somebody. Sexually, again, one of those ones. You find yourself in those situations. Are you being smart? Are you being safe? Are you healthy in that aspect? Man them down there, girl them down there, all over. If you need to go and see the doctor, you go and see the doctor. And even in those situations, are you happy in the situations you find yourself in? Now, obviously, in this video, it's just full of a lot of questions. Now, for me, I'm a big believer that if you want to go somewhere, you need to find out where you are now. So it's the question of, what have I done well this year in all aspects? It's almost like a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But it's also almost, taking it a step further of asking yourself actual serious questions. What do I want in life? Am I happy? The things I've done, have they contributed to my happiness? In all of these categories, you can use the 5 whys that just breaks it down of like, okay, why am I doing engineering, for example? Okay, and engineering is a good degree. It can good salary. Why are you doing engineering? Well, it's good salary is doing okay. Why did you choose engineering? I mean, you could have chosen anything. Well, I enjoyed maths. I enjoyed physics. But why? But then again, I like building stuff. Why? Because I want to build stuff in the future. But why? Because I want to help people by building and solving problems. Why? Because that also ties into my purpose and me fulfilling stuff. You keep going wide and you start breaking down this nonsense, because the first two whys or the first two ones are rubbish answers most times. It's just like when I ask you how are you and you tell me you're fine. That's not an answer. That's literally not an answer. So I dare you to take a week off from the new year and use this to do a self-assessment and kind of give some direction to your life, because it's one of those ones you've heard the saying, new day, same shit. Well, instead, if you don't know where you are, then it's a new year, same you. You cannot change what you don't know. So if you don't know where to change, then you're kind of stuck in the same place. So if you've able to answer all these questions, then you can tailor your goals in 2021 to answering these questions and making sure that you are living the life that you want to do. So who are you? Do you love yourself? Why do you do what you do? Who do you want to be? What's my failures of this year? What is my achievements of this year? What do I want to be? Am I doing what I want to do? Who have I hurt? Because take some accountability, take some responsibility for your life. Because if you are looking for somebody to come and make 2021 look different for you, then keep on waiting. The Bible does say God helps those who help themselves. So if you really want him to help you, start by helping yourself. Where do you want to be at the end of 2021? Where are you now? And also, who can help you get there? Because remember, yes, your life is your own personal journey, but you don't have to do it alone. Congratulations on making it to 2021. And also, good luck on trying to achieve your goals. This has been Tickzon Scheme. My name has been Ugo. And hindsight, I guess, is 2020. Or was 2020 at this point.